That's the abrasive yet beautiful sound of the Dirty Three from their new album Love Changes Everything. Warren Ellis, Mick Turner, and Jim White have reunited and released this, their first new album in 12 years. The trio is currently touring Australia, so I caught up to drummer percussionist Jim White in Adelaide, where he talks about how this reunion came about his own solo album just released a few months ago. But first, a few words about the band's late friend, recording engineer Steve Albini, who they made Ocean Songs with back in 1998.
33 did that record with him, and I did about 6 other records with him.
Right?
Well, at least, let's see, yeah, but maybe 4 other ones, and then also in his studio another multiple times with other people doing the dials. I lived in Chicago. 33 when 33 came to America, we made an alliance with Chicago, essentially,
Right.
through Touch and Go. Our booking agent, who we still work with, is there, and actually we spent a lot of time there. Mick Turner and myself, the guitarist, and I, we lived there. We both lived there, different times, at the same times and different times. And Steve was fantastic. Steve was like, so when 33 first went to meet him to talk to him about recording, it was in his house when he had his studio in his house, and I think it was we didn't record there, but we went there, and I think, it was a deal, like he had the recording room in the basement and the control room in the attic, or vice versa or something.
Yeah.
And he was building this new studio, and that was electrical, and we went, like, he was just fantastic. He was so generous, just straightforward. Warren's been, we've been doing, sort of dedicating a song to him on the shows, like, Warren always brings up the thing that he remembers, like, that we wanted to make this quiet album, and then we kind of, along the way, he just encouraged us to stay to our intention,
Right.
that Ocean Songs. I just found him, like, he's got his public thing where he's like really outspoken, like really opinionated, and that was definitely him, and
Yeah.
actually really great.
Yeah.
But in the studio, I think what sometimes escapes us in the story is he's just there working all the time.
Yeah.
Like, number one, his studio, everything worked. Like a lot of studios, even fancy studios, a lot of stuff doesn't work.
I've heard
Everything works there.
that.
That was his old style. That was his style. Like he had people. He worked out how to do things himself. His staff or employed people that came in and knew how to do things.
Right.
It was very old fashioned in that way.
Ah.
Come from that tradition. And look at the list of the bands he recorded. Like, not just, of course, the well known bands that everyone talks about, but just the hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands and thousands of bands that he
Yeah.
was there for, recording. And so I made a lot of records with him. I made a duo record with Nina Nastasia, and then a bunch of other records under her name. And he was just, he was focused, and he was good at his job. Like when I learned to record, during the pandemic, I started learning how to record myself.
Right.
And due to circumstances, and like going way back, like when 33 wanted to record there, so Mick and I were there, but Warren wasn't there, and so we went in there to check it out. And he said, "Come and try out the new studio. This is a studio he built. It's now Studio B, but at the time it was the only studio
Right.
in electrical. He brought in people from Mexico that knew how to do the mud on the walls,
All right.
get the sound that he wanted, and so we went in there and tried, and he just said, do some recording, like try it out, to see if you like it. And we did some.
Yeah.
And when I came to learn how to record, I rang up electrical and I said, what was that microphone that we used on the bass drum?
Right.
This is like 25 years later.
Yeah.
and I was told what it was, and I went and bought one, and I learned that. That's my, that's every time I record my bass drum with that, I think of Steve and Greg Norman, the people that's at that studio.
That's pretty cool.
Um, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. And is the scene still kind of vibrant in Chicago? Have you been there recently?
yeah, the scene, I don't I haven't lived there for a long time, so I don't know, but it seems very, yeah. I played there a few times recently, and people come out, and it's like it's still. I live in New York, so it's a bit of a hustle there for people to get by, but in Chicago, it's still got that. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe it's a working. People have found out how to do things. That people get things done in their own way.
Right,
It feels very healthy,
right,
actually.
right, right,
Feels
right.
like, um, and those, the labels that were touch and goes, no longer in Chicago and not really functioning in the way it still maintained its releases, but doesn't do new stuff so much. But the labels that followed that tradition, that actually touch and go, supported Drag City. It's like a family line in a way. Drag City, Thrill
Yep,
Jockey, and some other labels.
yep,
They're still going strong, and
yeah.
they're all. So actually, about a week or two after Steve died, I was actually playing um, in Chicago, and I was playing like a couple of blocks from uh, his studio, and I was doing a duo, myself and Marisa Anderson, and we went in there, and like a lot of the musicians were there and it was very, the shock was very palpable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
People looked stunned.
yeah,
As my friend said, like it's like an infrastructure, like a pillar of the infrastructure of sort of, you know, for one of the, for like, independent music, like probably in the true sense of the word independent, like, people like, determining themselves.
yeah.
I'm not sure what that all means, but like definitely like it's something that he represented, very real and strong. And actually, people have always talked about music being, moving emotions and things like that. And, I get all that, but I never really thought about it maybe very specifically, but I sort of felt, and I knew Steve quite well, when Marisa, my friend, didn't know him personally, but we played this music, and it's actually improvised music that Marisa
Hmm.
and I do. Um, and I felt, and she felt it, and like it was actually, you know, it was a good thing. It was a great thing to be able to do,
Yep,
you know, in
yep.
that proximity, you know, because it's a cliche, but we are all there because of music,
Yes, yep, yep. And
Steve was there.
and it definitely shocked people when they heard the news about his
Shock,
death.
yeah,
This is like, of course he's going to be there forever. It
yeah,
just seemed like he
yeah.
always had been.
Definitely, it marks that. It marks an age.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously he was way too young, but
yeah.
it does mark an age that the people that came up with him are getting older.
Yes, indeed. And now you mentioned the pandemic, and my understand I know the Dirty Three did a few gigs in 2019 pre-pandemic, and I'm assuming that the plan was to probably proceed a little bit more and do some recording, but that got set aside because of everything else. And here we are now with Love Changes Everything. Is that kind of the backstory for this record?
Um, we did it. No, that's not. What are you saying? You're saying a timeline.
That you probably were planning on recording, getting back together sooner, but the pandemic kept you from doing it because it's been what 11, 12
No,
years.
you know, I mean, there's been, it's not much point going through all the,
Okay.
obviously it's been a long time since we recorded,
Yeah, like 12 years,
um,
right?
12 years since we put an album out. And, we've done a few shows,
Yeah,
uh, since then, and we did record at some point, when we finally found the time,
right.
and, I can't, I'm a bit hazy on all the time, all
That's
the
all right.
calendars and stuff, but, you know, the point, maybe if we're going to talk about that kind of thing, I guess for me, the point is that we got together, when we could, and then and now we're playing, and it's been a long time since we did a full tour. But both the record and the tour, it feels like the right time, you know.
Right.
I mean, it took as long as it took, you know, due to
Yeah.
circumstances.
Yep.
But you know,
And you're living in New York City now, is that right?
correct.
Yeah. So everybody's all
And
over the place.
I have for 25 years or something.
Right. And Warren's in Paris and
Right.
Mick's in Australia. So yeah,
Oh,
it
yes.
takes some doing.
Yeah.
So when you did get together and start recording, was it just like climbing up? It was like old times. Did you have to kind of reacquaint each other? I mean, you've been in a band together since '92-ish, so off and on.
We've been in a band together since 92-ish. Mick and I have been in a band, Mick and I have been playing another 8 or 10 years before that,
Jesus.
like so our whole adult lives, you know.
Yeah.
Um, in Venom Pistinger, and you know, it's not like no, it wasn't like. I mean, yeah, whenever we get together, you know, you know, we stay in touch during the time, like in different, you know, it goes in waves of, um, but you know, everyone's always there. They're, you know, if they wanted to be, uh, if someone wants to be in touch, but yeah, it's great. Like we get back together and we like in the studio and now we did the rehearsals
Right.
for the tour. You know, inevitably we end up talking the first few days. We're just talking, you know,
Yeah.
catching up, playing a bit, and then you know, and playing music. And when we play, it's still got that. It's still got the thing of the thing that started when we started playing. You know, when we got
Right.
together in Warren's bedroom before, you know, we booked a show, um, and we got together the day before, and we, you know, made up the set. You know,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
took a photo first, and then we in front of our cars, and then we took then we made and then we went and played. You know,
Yeah.
and and I'm not saying I can actually remember, you know, whatever we played, and then you know it was great. It felt really
Yep.
good. You know, and we obviously developed as well. When we
Sure.
get back together, yeah, this sort of I don't know, spirit or whatever it
Hmm.
is there. You know, 33 we never wanted to repeat ourselves, or get in a rut or anything. Um, and you know, when we got together to make the new record, it was, you know, you know, it feels really, new record feels really fresh and different to me. And
Yep.
playing them live was fantastic in the same way.
Cool. So the record is comprised of 6 tracks at all, kind of part 1, 2, 3 through 6 of Love Changes Everything. Whose idea was that?
To have it all together, well, it just felt like like it was recorded like that,
Yeah.
and um, you know, and put together like that. You know, there was talk about it being having the one having it as one piece. You know,
Yeah. Sure.
which is sort of it's actually how I listen to it. You know, um, and then we put the markers in. You know, you know, they are distinctive parts of it. But then we wanted to keep that idea, so that's why we only made one name. You know,
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. And it's also kind of cool that you guys released the physical version before the digital version. Usually it's the other way around. Everybody's waiting for the pressing plants to come through with something or other, and they can't wait to get it out. So, uh, was that a
yeah,
record
that's
company decision or you guys?
well, no, that was actually I think the ration. You know, basically when we decided to, you know, once we decided to get it out, and we kind of wanted to get it out in time for the tour, the shows we booked. Um, it came out in America. It's not out in the rest of the world yet.
Right. Yep.
It's coming out this
28th.
Friday, the 28th.
Yeah.
So, um, I think they. I'm not exact. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure. I think they asked for it to be not not streamed, or the label in Australia was mostly focused on having it out for the shows. Um, so it's just how it happened. But I've got to say, I like. It seems like a great idea.
I agree. It kind of
You
puts
know,
the emphasis where it should be on the physical.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
and maybe that. Maybe that can catch on.
Who knows? Leading the charge again. There's a video for the first track that's
Well, the
already
record's
been
number
out.
one, two in Australia this week,
Oh, cool.
the ARIA chart. So I don't know if that includes New Zealand or not, but
It's close enough.
so obviously our strategy worked, such as it is, such
All
as
right.
it isn't. Yeah, sorry,
All
what
right.
were you asking?
I was going to ask you about the video. It's made by Anna White, which I believe
My
Anna White
sister,
also works on your stuff. So is that
my
what?
sister.
Your sister? Okay, yes. So and how? Tell me a little bit about that process of making the video.
The beginning of it, I think it has the lightning and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the sort of weather, and I like that first track. It's like, how it sounds like we're also playing that song first in the rec show. It's like,
Yep.
it feels like the reintroduction, or it feels exciting. It's
We're
not exciting
back.
stuff. Yeah, the video, I can't really comment on the video. Mick
Okay.
asked Anna to make it, and I like it. I like it a lot.
And she made the one for Names Make the Name on your solo record as well, right?
No, she made Marketplace. Names
Oh,
Make the Name was
Marketplace.
made by a woman in America.
Okay. I saw a woman sweeping in that one. I assumed it was
No, that's made by, yeah, a couple of people in New York.
right. And then so your album is called All Hits Memories, which came out a couple of months ago as well. So
Yeah.
how do you what can you tell me about that? What brought you to make that record?
It's all the idea of sort of seeing what the drums could do in a context like that
Huh?
was always something maybe on the side, but I was like, I didn't really know. I wasn't sure about it. It's like, and then I work a lot with Guy Picciotto from Fugazi.
Right?
He's my good friend and neighbor, and we work a lot, we work a lot in different things, but especially in the context of Solaris White, the
Yep.
band I have with the Cretan musician George Solaris.
Yep.
And he's produced all of our records, Guy. And it's been a real journey of like finding what a new record will be like, and it's like sort of having an idea, and then it's like just getting in the room and throwing some ideas down, and then find the nature of what the record's going to be in relation between that idea and what's happening, and then let the record, show you where it wants to go. And got stuck in Melbourne for the big lockdown, and I went the night before the lockdown. They announced the curfew was coming, and I went down to the studio, this friend's studio, and I said, can I rent your microphones? What are you doing? And he's like, yeah, take them.
Yeah.
Went down to the shop, bought like an interface. I learned to record, and so I think the solo record came out of those, sort of just like seeing where things were going, and then learning how to record, and having the time in the lockdown to really like find the sounds that I wanted to find. That like instead of being in the studio on the clock and
Yeah.
people wait, other people, time on your hands as well and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just really moved the microphones around. I found these sounds, and then and then I wanted to I wanted to put a keyboard sound. I just wanted to put a tone next to the drums. Like I wanted the drums to be, the melodic. I always think of the drums as the melodic as well as rhythmic. I mean, I think of everything like that. Um, anyway, I wanted to put a tone next to them, but then I was playing the key. So I don't actually play keyboards, but I got this synthesizer. So it was fun, and they started developing a little bit, and then I was just working with Guy, and I was recording, sending stuff to him, and half the records recorded in my lounge room, half is recorded at Guy Picciotto's studio,
Yeah.
and All Hits Memories. The name is I had the name from the beginning. It's kind of obviously it's a pretty dumb pun, but also it's about throwing like what people want to know what people want to know what music is about or something, but it's kind of a weird question.
That's true.
It's not a weird question, but like basically, look, All Hits Memories. It's about um, like a lot of times I move my body around, and I sort of can tell from how I'm if it's going to be something good or not.
Right.
By how it feels. If it's going to be something good, what does good mean? Something of something. So then, I play, I hit it, I throw my limbs down, then I listen, I guess, or I move, and then I move, and then I listen. So at that point, it's like you're in this relationship with the content of what's going on, and then it's something relating to what I said happened in Chicago, playing the music in that sort of emotional environment. Anyway, I think memories are the same. I think sort of music and memories and dreams
Mm,
all exist a little bit on the same plane.
gotcha. Yeah. Very cool. Well, speaking of memories, one of my strongest memories is when you guys, as a Dirty Three, played just down the street from where I'm at now in '97. You played at a place called, I think it was Luna, and it was an
Where are you?
incredible.
Auckland?
Yeah, in Auckland, middle of Auckland here, and on Simon Street. And I remember I interviewed Warren Ellis the day after, and his hands were in bandages from he was bleeding profusely during the show at the end of the
Yeah.
night before, and it was like, oh, I've never seen anything like that. And so, are you bringing the show back to New Zealand, do you think, once you wind up in Australia?
Well, we would love to, but um, if someone invites us over,
Gotcha. Seems like it needs to happen.
yeah, I love playing in New Zealand.
Yep. And I see a version of the Saints has reunited. Have you seen anything about that as well?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Were they a band that you were into back in the day?
Oh, they were my band.
Yeah.
That band I love, yeah. The first three albums, um, with the original lineup, with it, the what I think of the Saints.
Yep.
Um, I learned to play drums pretty much with those three albums, actually, all three, particularly Prehistoric Sounds
I was
and
going
the
to say
first album.
Prehistoric Sounds. I love that because they brought brass into that, and that for a punk band back then, that was like unheard of, and it just blew my mind.
Yeah, and the whole mood of it, I love, All Times Through Paradise, that kind of, they were such a great, they've got the melancholy, but they've got the kind of
Yeah.
drive. It's a beautiful band, very exciting to me. And yeah, I remember when I was a kid and they came on Countdown, for that first Molly Meldrum. Did you guys get Countdown in New Zealand?
I don't know. I didn't move here till '94, so I can't say.
Where are you from?
Rochester, New York, upstate New York. I
Oh my
moved.
God. Yeah. So anyway, the countdown was, I'm sure you've heard about
Yeah,
it.
sure. Yeah,
And it's like kind of a unifying factor in those days of everyone watching the TV at 6 o'clock on a Sunday. And
right. In the
Saints
States, we
came
had the Ed
on.
Sullivan Show, an American
Right. Yeah,
Bandstand.
exactly. Like, yeah. Yeah, my drum kit I have here is my friend bought it for, I was looking for a drum kit to bring to Australia, and this friend of mine, John Convertino in Tucson, he worked at, they got a lot of good drum kits down there
Yeah.
back in those days. And I said, look out for a drum kit. And he goes, I bought you one. He goes, I hope it's all right. I bought this one. He goes, it's, and he knows about that stuff. And he's like, oh, the serial number indicates that it's made before the Beatles went on Ed Sullivan or whatever that first show was.
Yep.
At which point the Ludwig factory went on to 24 hours a day, just any piece of wood that was like lying around. That
Right.
was
Yeah. They crank them
the
out.
demand was so high. I think that's funny. And anyway, yeah. But so the Saints came on that. Everyone of a certain age that I know, they remember that moment when the Saints came on, because for
Yeah.
me, you're isolated. You're in your lounge room at your parents' house, and it's electrified.
Yep.
So I love the Saints, and yeah, this
There's a Mark Arm and Mick Harvey you're playing with them, right?
I saw that, yeah, and Pete Oxley
Yeah.
and Ivor and
Yeah. And Ivor and
Ed. Yeah,
Ed.
I can't. I'll definitely be getting hold of the. I've never bought a box set in my life, I don't think, but I might get. They're putting out something of the.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to hear those old. There's a prehistory to the Saints, like
Yep.
before the record came out. It's like kind of amazing
Yeah.
as a fan.
Yeah. I mean, even in Rochester, I remember when I'm Stranded came out.
Yep.
We bought the import version of it. We just couldn't wait to get our hands on it, and it was
Yeah,
from
you bought the single?
Australia. How was that?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so I don't know. I played with Ed. Ed and I, we did during that sort of pandemic time. We did a bunch of shows playing sort of a survey material of his. Yeah, I mean, Ed Cooper is I think Ed Cooper, Ivor Hay, and Jeffrey Wagner, who was also part of that scene that
Uh-huh.
Ed and him, the Laughing Clowns together. They're my. They're my. They're an influence, but they're above all else, they're like an inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not a bad inspiration to have.
Of excitement,
Yeah.
of music to be, how it can be, and how exciting it is, and fresh.
All right. Well, then it's settled. A double bill with you guys and the Saints coming over to New
Oh
Zealand.
yeah, we'll be there.
Can't miss.
They're coming to Australia. Did they announce to New Zealand? Did they announce the dates there?
Nothing here yet. No. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I've been getting press
Got to-
releases from Australia about it.
you
Very
got to start a
something going.
petition.
Yep, I'm sure we can get this. Very good. Well, Mick Harvey was just here, so we can get the rest of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's Mick Harvey doing in the Saints?
I don't know. I assume whatever he wants to.
Yeah.
Probably playing keyboards or something. I don't know.
Mm.
But it'll be interesting. Yeah, definitely. All righty. Very good. Well, thank you for all that. I see my Zoom thing is running out of time, so we better wrap it up. But
Cool.
congratulations on everything. It seems like all sorts of stuff is happening. So
Thanks, Marty.
thank you for spending the time with me. I appreciate it. Hello.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.